Hi, and welcome along to our brand new feature here on DR Sports called A Game of Two Halves. This is the second half, right? Because the first half, you would have checked it out on Mark Goldbridge's channel. And on Friday, we were all looking ahead to the games at the weekend. Now, of course, the games have finished. Now it's time to take a look back at what went on at the weekend. And it's absolutely perfect, Mark, that we got you here.
Yeah.
Because the big game, of course, was Liverpool versus Manchester United. Everybody thought, right, that this was going to be a beatdown. 3-0, 4-0. There was even suggestions that this could be a repeat of the 7-0 game, right? The state that United have been in recent times. But, Mark, they turned up big time yesterday and could have won it. I mean, it finished 2-2, but you could have won it, Mark.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, there was some, we work in this world. We work with some people in this world, and they get a little bit overexcited and they start talking about 8-0s and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think people realise what needs to happen for that to happen. And look, it's Man United, Liverpool. It's the same. You've got Spurs in a week and a half. The chances that you're going to beat them 8-0, it might happen, but reality is Spurs are going to get a bit of pride, aren't they? And we got a bit of pride yesterday against Liverpool. But beyond that, I heard Arne Slot after the game saying that we played like long ball, deep line.
Yeah.
We had 50% of the ball. Like we did it. You know what? You'll know this. When we came to the Emirates a couple of weeks ago, first half we had like 60%. We didn't do anything with it, but we had Amorim, obviously his way of doing it. Some teams want to play a deep low block, and I think he wants to take the ball off the opposition to stop them scoring. And he did that really well yesterday. And we had, like you said, we could have won it at the end, but we definitely had as good a chances as them. And it was so unlike United in recent weeks. We haven't scored over Christmas. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'd have bit your hand off. I said we'd lose that game. So, the annoying thing is, Man United, we've got you next. You'll probably see a completely different performance. But I take that. I mean, I'd rather draw and play well than win 1-0 and get lucky. We need performances. I've seen what Arsenal have done. I've seen what Liverpool do. We need to start building an identity. And I saw one yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's a great performance. And I was watching the game. I was shocked, number one, at how brave United were on the ball. You know what I mean? They didn't just. I know Arne Slot said low block, and I definitely thought it's a lot more sensible. It's not one of the things I've been saying about United. You've got to be a bit more sensible and think about the players you've got. He's a lot more sensible in his approach, Ruben Amorim. But they were also very brave on the ball, I thought. You know what I mean? And so many players stepped up. Bruno, that was his best performance I think I've seen all season. Agate, I thought, in midfield was really, really good. And I thought the two fullbacks, Dalot, who I was very impressed with. I thought he was my man of the match.
And he's been so bad recently.
And Mazzarri as well. Those two really stepped up. And, to me, it looked like they stunned Liverpool. The crowd was really quiet up until they scored, and if it weren't for that De Ligt handball, I don't know, the momentum looked like it was really going with United at one time.
Reminds me of I was talking about it before the game, a proper a boxing match where you've got a really firm favourite and then an underdog, but the underdog works really hard and sort of goes in the first two rings and they're not getting the punches. And I think you're right. I think Liverpool, it's a tough game when you are going to win 6-7-0. And that's what everyone was saying going into it. And it's never going to be like that. And then Liverpool's mindset was probably it was going to be an easier game than it was. And at the end of the day, it's a derby. I know it's not a derby, but it is. And I've seen bad Liverpool teams get results against good United sides. And I thought, overall, I actually had a lot of mates who don't support Liverpool and United who were messaging me saying that was a brilliant Sunday afternoon game. I've got work tomorrow after Christmas. And I loved it. Yeah.
No, it's a great game. Great game. I really enjoyed watching it. And, obviously as an Arsenal fan, I was glad to see, because I didn't think United would get something out of it, but they did. On Liverpool, number one, do you think, they got complacent? And number two, self-imploding's too big a word right now. It's a draw. They haven't lost the game. They could have done at the end, Maguire, right, when he blazed it over the bar. But they haven't lost the game. But all these rumours coming out. There was rumours after the game that they had to break up a fight between Van Dijk and Trent, and all these sort of rumours are flying around. Trent Alexander-Arnold coming under heavy criticism, a lot of it from Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
Because of all the links to Real Madrid. He had an absolute stinker. There was what Roy Keane said about, he'd be lucky to get into, I mean, that was brilliant by Roy Keane. He'd be lucky to get into Tranmere Rovers, let alone Real Madrid on that performance.
At least they both wear white.
There's still the Salah rumours. He was going on about it again on Friday. Van Dijk, after the game, asked about his contract. Nothing's close yet. They don't need this, do they? All these distractions. I mean, what are they doing, Liverpool?
I think with, you look at it on Saturday night when Arsenal draw, which we'll talk about, and it's 2 games in hand and 6 points. Well, it's 1 game in hand now, isn't it? And it's 1 game in hand and 6 points, I think, the gap now. Anyway, regardless of that, it's more than you would have thought. Arsenal will have a little bit of hope. I think they're the only team that can do anything. And Liverpool, not as strong in the performance as well as the result. So they've got to pick themselves up. And I think you're right. I don't think they're in an implosion. I still think they're massive favourites to win it. And they have been the best team in the league. And there was a couple of their players I was massively impressed with. But I think that we've seen Forest get a result there. We've seen Man United get a point there. And I think that Arne Slot looked a bit worried after the game to be talking about tactics.
Yeah,
I think he's worried about that. I mean, Arsenal, Man City are used to teams doing this to them, and Liverpool just got to be a little bit careful. And the biggest enemy is the enemy within. Trent Alexander-Arnold was their worst player, and we've just had a week of him, not going to sign a contract. And it's never a problem when you're winning, but then when you start dropping points, they've got to be very careful of that. I mean, I don't know whether I'd start looking at playing Matt Bradley. He's the future anyway, and maybe they might have to deal with that problem. But the trouble with Trent is he's so good going forward. But I think he was arrogant yesterday. I think he wandered into that game thinking, all eyes are on me, and he got exposed, as we've seen so many times defensively.
And it's all right saying play Bradley, but then that could annoy Trent, which then makes him try and force that move. I mean, when you're going for a title, you don't need all these shenanigans going on in the background, innit? I mean, we still think it's been self-inflicted by their board, but 3 of your best players, contracts not signed, being asked about it every week. You don't need these distractions. You've got a title to go for.
I hope they do implode a little bit, because I want a title race. I think we've had a brilliant game yesterday. I think it's been an amazing Premier League season. The only thing is we don't want to replace Man City with an obvious title winner. So if they could drop a few more points and, Arsenal can pick a few up, then, I'm all for it. But a bit of pressure on Liverpool. That's what we need, isn't it, going into the new year?
Yeah. Well, can Arsenal pressure them? I was at the game on Saturday. Arsenal winning 1-0. Ethan Nwaneri with a goal, who went off at half-time, injured. Yet another injury.
I was going to ask you that. Was an injury, was it?
It was an injury, yeah. I mean, at first, I was thinking at first, at half-time, because when we didn't see him come back, we were all like, why is he taking Nwaneri off? And I was sort of like, well, maybe he was on a yellow card. He's 17. Yeah. We've had troubles this season.
Lots of games.
Double yellows and reds. Maybe it's to protect that. But after the game, Mikel Arteta said, no, it's a muscle injury, which is that. Got to be hamstring or something. That's a few weeks again. Yeah, and he's been playing really well, coming in and replacing Saka. So more injuries again for Arsenal. But winning 1-0, comfortable, I thought. Brighton didn't really trouble Arsenal. Listen, Arsenal's fault for not really going for that second goal. It's one big criticism I have of Arteta sometimes. He really likes control and managing games, right? And I felt Brighton were always going to be dangerous in that second half with guys like Matoma and that coming off the bench. Go for that second. Didn't. The penalty decision. Now, Mark, I'll give my opinion on it in a second. What's your opinion on that penalty?
You know what? I saw a match today, Lineker and Mika and everyone saying you don't want to see penalties given for that. I agree, but I also think if it hadn't been given, they'd have all been going, why wasn't a penalty given for that? I think it's one of those. I'd be wanting it if I was Brighton, but if I was Arsenal, I'd be... I don't know. I'm still here. You still here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, cut down. If I was Arsenal, I'd be absolutely furious, because I don't think Brighton were going to score. They're a really good team, but they don't look like they're going to score. And it was just one of those games where, you don't want... It's a bit like us with that handball yesterday. It's like, You know, it's just you can't do it. You can't criticize Saliba for going for it.
I just think the thing is, Mark, if you actually watch it, Saliba headers the ball first anyway, right?
Yes, that's what VAR.
So that's what VAR didn't even pick up. It didn't pick up the fact that Saliba actually headers the ball first, then in his follow through, he catches João Pedro. It's a clash of heads.
In that case,
to me, I have never seen a penalty given for that in all my years of watching football. I've never seen a clash of heads because it weren't deliberate. I've never seen a clash of heads in a box and a referee's given a penalty. And to me, yet again, obviously I'm going to be fuming about it as an Arsenal fan, but to me, yet again, it was another poor refereeing decision. I just could not get my head around how that was a penalty.
Well, especially when you look at the Spurs Newcastle game and you got Anthony Gordon who goes past Kulusevski and he, you know, I don't think it's a penalty, but it's more of a penalty than that. I mean, nearly breaks his nose. So
nearly breaks his nose.
The problem is Anthony Taylor, isn't it? Anthony Taylor gives it on the pitch, and VAR. You know, if Anthony Taylor doesn't give that, VAR's not going to go, "Oh, have a look at this."
No, it was and this is my criticism of referees like Anthony Taylor. They seem to get involved in stuff when they don't need to get involved. Nobody's gonna like turn around afterwards and say, "Oh, that should have been a penalty" or anything. And as I said, watch back the replay. Saliba actually headers the ball first. So I mean, it's obviously an accidental clash of heads. But listen, drop points for Arsenal. Got really lucky, Arsenal, with your result yesterday because it just about keeps us in the title race. It's 6 points, as you said, with a game in hand. Another team that slipped up were Chelsea. Chelsea slipping up yet again. They've had a really poor run over this Christmas, Mark.
Yeah, and you know, we spoke about this on Friday on That's Football about how Arsenal need a striker, and I think Brighton again. You could argue where that striker might get you the second goal and win the game. But Chelsea, first half 1-0 up, had chances to kill the game, and as we all know, Palace, they never play bad for 90 minutes, and I expected it in the second half that they would come at them, and I think second half, looking at the stats, Palace had as many shots, so Chelsea needed to win that game. They needed the second goal like Arsenal did. But I mean, their run, I think it's 2 from 12 or something like that. I mean,
in games that they should be winning.
And you've got Chelsea fans talking about, we told you weren't in a title race, but that's not an excuse. Like the points you've dropped are terrible. And you can't just go, we were not ready for that. I mean, top 4 will be a good season for Chelsea, but I'd expected better than them, Robbie, over the last few weeks, to be honest.
Yeah, they've really dropped the ball. A team that didn't know, Man City, big win for them. Listen, we called it on Friday. When you're playing against West Ham at the moment, they're awful. And particularly without Bowen, you know, obviously no Antonio. 4-1, but Savinho, the star of the show there. And the manager, Guardiola, criticising, criticising. You know what I mean? Criticising Grealish, saying that, you know, if he wants to get back in the team, he's going to have to be the Grealish we saw during the treble win.
I mean, I think, you know, you got Mudryk, Anthony, Rashford, you know, sometimes Arsenal players as well getting scrutinised by the media. You got Jack Grealish on £100 million player, and he can't even, you know, he doesn't even play football. I think he's one of the biggest flops ever. I mean, he'd be happy with his, you know, nights out and his Armani deal and his titles, but what a waste of a talent. I mean, I used to watch him at Villa, and I thought he was one of the most exciting England players in years. And to go to Man City and become, I mean, you know, Harvey Barnes is a better player than him. And I'm nothing against Harvey Barnes, but he is. I think Grealish is massively protected by, I don't know, everybody, I suppose. I mean, Guardiola's right. He's £100 million. He's just so bad. I mean, a massive flop, in my opinion.
A team that's really on the ascendancy is Newcastle. Another big win for them, beating Tottenham. What now for Tottenham, though? What now for Postecoglou? How many more games is he going to lose? I mean, listen, again, that game, I don't know. If you saw the first goal, I thought handball in the build-up. Listen, I hate Tottenham. But I looked at that and I'm like, surely they're going to overturn that. And they didn't.
The rule is ridiculous. I mean, I think they're trying to say that if there's an accidental handball in the build-up, then it's all right. But can you think of the trouble with these rules is they don't think them through. So if a cross comes in hits somebody's hand and directs towards the goal, and then someone taps it in on the line, it's a goal. It's like that handball has to be a handball, because whether it's accidental or not, it gives Newcastle Newcastle score because of it. You can't do that.
De Ligt didn't mean to handball the ball yesterday, did he? But that was giving us a penalty. I mean, honestly, I couldn't get. I'm losing it with these referees and PGMOL and all. I don't know. And the rules.
No, it's a bad weekend, definitely. Crazy. The contradictions were a joke. But Newcastle's midfield for me is probably up there with Liverpool at the moment. I think they're so dominant, and I thought Spurs did. I thought Spurs did okay. But Newcastle were defensively better, and had the better chances. And you're right. I mean, I do wonder. I don't think sacking Ange for Spurs is the way to go, because they're Spurs.
10 defeats, Mark.
But that's it. I was just about to say.
10.
Results dictate the sacking. No one should be above it. The scary thing for Spurs is if they do it, we all know there's no one coming in that's going to do any better, really.
10 defeats. I mean, and they, obviously big game for them during the week. They've got Liverpool 2 legs in the League Cup. I mean,
they've got you in a week and a half,
and then they got us. I mean. How many more defeats is Big Ange going to have before they start looking at him? But another defeat for Tottenham. Just looking at the league quickly, Liverpool stay top on 46 points. As you said, they've got a game in hand over Arsenal in second on 40. Nottingham Forest, if they win tonight, they could be on joint amount of points with Arsenal. They're still staying third on goal difference, but having a great season. Chelsea, 4th on 36. Newcastle, 5th on 35 points, only a point behind. And City, that was a big win for them, 34 points. Look at Bournemouth in 7th, another win for them, beating Everton in 33. As we look at the bottom, Southampton, they're down, aren't they? 6 points all season.
Can't believe I predicted they would win that game.
5-0 defeat at home against Brentford, who've been terrible on the road. I mean, they're gone. And that's with their new manager coming in.
Leicester, I was going to say, I didn't even notice they'd sacked the other manager. It's just, they're just so bad, aren't they?
Leicester, second from bottom on 14 points, 2-1 defeat away at Aston Villa. And Ipswich, they were, near to getting a great 3 points. But then they threw it away at the end, giving away another. It was 2 ridiculous penalties they gave away in that game. And they ended up drawing that 2-2. But they're showing a bit of fight, Ipswich.
Yeah,
showing a bit of fight. That game today, Wolves versus Nottingham Forest, very significant at both ends of the table. Nottingham Forest, as I said, could go into third, joint same points as Arsenal, and also Wolves. They really to get if they could get a win, that moves them away from that bottom 3. But no Cunha for them. Do you want to do a quick prediction of how you think that game will go tonight?
Yeah, I think we said on Friday. I went with a draw. Obviously, results over the weekend can make I know. It shouldn't do, but it can make a difference to how teams approach it. I think it'll be a draw. But Forest have won 5 in a row, 3 away, so they probably should be going for them. But I just still can't believe where they are. Yeah,
I think I might go. I can't remember what I went for on your show.
I think you did go for a Forest win.
Yeah, I think I was just about to say I'm going to go for Forest again, man. They are looking good. Also, 2 quick predictions. First leg of the League Cup, Arsenal versus Newcastle.
Is that at your place?
At the Emirates, first leg at the Emirates.
I think I'll go for quite a low-scoring draw in that.
Low-scoring draw?
Yeah.
I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. I'm thinking 2... Oh, Isak.
You'll go strong, won't you? They'll both go strong.
Yeah, we have to. We have to go strong. 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. Although I don't know, man. We've got so many injuries. I don't know who's going to play. But I'll
go strong tonight and then rest your team for the Cup, I think.
Well, I remember I said that to you. Arsenal will rest a lot of players for that FA Cup game against United because we got Spurs followed up. We follow up with playing Spurs on the Wednesday night, and we're so threadbare at the moment. And now Wanyeri's out, I just can't see him going super strong in that game. Before we go, we got to give our team of the week. This is going to be a regular feature on the show where me and Mark go through and give our team of the week, right? So let me go first. In goal, I've gone for Travers of Bournemouth, kept a clean sheet, about the only clean sheet in the Premier League. So I've gone for him. Who do you go for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to do this because I always take the mickey out of Troy Deeney's BBC one. So I'm glad that in this world that we've sort of been architects of, we're finally doing a team of the week.
They're going to take the mickey out of us now.
No, we've done our own work. This is where we're going to come out with loads of credibility. I'll go with you on that, but I actually went with Pickford because he made a lot of saves in that game. But I do agree in the spirit of things, you should get it for a clean sheet.
Clean sheet. Travers. Right back, I went Mazzarari.
Again, I'm not going to argue because it's a Man United player. I actually had apparently I didn't watch the game, but loads of people were talking about him, the Palace right back. But I was impressed with Porro. I thought he had a good game for Spurs, and I thought his cross was really good. But I mean, I'm not going to argue with Mazraoui.
All right, so we're going Mazzarari then. Centre back pairing, right? Because we're doing this as a 4-3-3. I've gone for Martinez. Your guy scored a goal, brilliant goal.
Yeah,
and I thought he played well. He's been under pressure. Heavy pressure, and I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I've got two different ones. I've got Botman, Newcastle. Thought he played really well against Spurs.
Yeah, all right.
And
it's all right, I thought.
But I actually think Maguire. I think he was our best defender. I thought he was brilliant.
But you know what it is, Mark? Is that miss at the end, man?
Yeah. Put Martinez in. From what I saw at the weekend, I thought Botman was really good. Spurs put a lot of pressure on. I thought Newcastle's defence was good.
All right.
And I did think Maguire played well.
All right. So what would you go? What do you want? I'm going to leave these two to you then. Who are we going to go?
Well, let's go with Martinez and Botman just to be fair to Newcastle.
All right. Martinez and Botman. Left back, I went Dallo. Thought his best game I've seen him play for Man United. I thought he's brilliant.
See, I can't argue with these because he's going with the United players, but
it is United heavy. You know what it is? It's because the expectations were so low, and these players stepped up and they were so good. I mean, there's got to be a lot of them in there.
I'll tell you what. I'll just give an alternative for then. I thought Kirkes at Bournemouth.
Scored as well, didn't he?
I'd love him at United, but he'd be my alternative. But
let's go Dalot. Where are we going? Kirkes or Dalot?
Let's go Dalot. Yeah, I mean, he's been so bad, and he made Trent look like a Tranmere Rovers player, didn't he? So,
all right, our midfield. I'm just going to give you my three, then you give me your three, and then we'll decide. I've gone Ugarte. Again, I thought he had a great game.
Yeah,
Bruno Fernandes, who on TV they gave him a man of the match. I thought he played really well as well for United.
Yeah,
and Bruno Guimaraes of Newcastle, who again was brilliant in that midfield.
We've not conferred on this. This is crazy because I had five that I wanted to go from, and I had those three, and then I had Alexis McAllister, who I thought was Liverpool's best player, and true. Ross Barkley for Villa had a good game. But
I was thinking about Barkley. He scored as well, didn't he?
But I think you can go with any three from. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. I thought Alexis McAllister played well, but Bruno Guimaraes was brilliant for Newcastle. So yeah, let's stick with yours. All right.
Give us your front three then.
And Bumo on the right.
Exactly what I went for. He was brilliant. Scored 2 goals, and he's a great player, by the way. I'd love him at Arsenal. He's good. Underrated.
I mean, it's unfortunate for Brentford, isn't it? But what a good player. And then I did struggle. I mean, I saw a lot of people were talking about Haaland, but I went Jimenez. I think a couple of goals in the Premier League.
So did I. But what great minds, man. You think alike, because that's what I thought. 2 penalties, both of them pressured penalties.
He's a good player when he's on it. He always has been.
Good player. I'm telling you, that is. You know what? Yesterday, I watched that game first, then I watched your game, and I'm like, Rasmus Højlund is nowhere near as good as Jimenez. I'm not being funny.
No, he's struggling.
Jimenez is an underrated player. Obviously, after he got that head injury, but he's back. He scored a great goal against Arsenal the other day. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah, and you can't just give it to Haaland because he scores a couple of goals. We're used to that. Yeah. So, Jimenez. Yeah. And then, I mean, I did put a Man City player in. I put Savio in because I was struggling for a left-sided player, really.
Yeah, and I went for him as well. He was brilliant in that game. Absolutely brilliant. Scored assists. He run the show for Man City. They couldn't
He's
deal
good
with
when he's on it. He is good when he's on it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's our team of the week. So, what we
got? Got a lot similar. There you go.
Yeah, in goal, Travers. What we went, Mazzarari. Then the 2 centre-backs you went, Martinez and Botman. Dalot. Then the midfield of Ugarte, Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Guimaraes. And up front, Mbeumo, Jimenez, and Savinho. That is the Robbie, Lyle, Mark Goldbridge team of the week.
If Troy Deeney got at least 10 of them, sack him. We'll do it.
Well, listen, that's the end of the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, the game of two halves, right? This is the second half. First half will be back on again on Friday over on Mark's channel. Mark, tell him about it again.
Yeah, that's football. We have a little. Well, I'm loving the team of the week in the second half on a Monday on DR Sports, and on That's Football we preview the weekend, and we have a bit of a game which is win, lose or draw. So we select all the Premier League games, and me and Robbie predict win, lose or draw. I can tell you, I've got the result on Friday. It is dependent on the result tonight between Forest and Wolves, but we both did actually really well. I thought you went into a great lead, and we both did really well. So yeah, that's on Friday.
I don't think either of us got that United Liverpool one right.
No, definitely didn't.
Oh, damn. Man, we could have took advantage of that. You've done us a favour, but, listen.
The door's still open, though, innit? At least that's the case.
Slightly open, but if what I need is for Liverpool, all of them to start fighting, falling out, having a few horrible results, and Arsenal capitalising in it. Or maybe Forest, maybe the team that capitalises. Who knows? But listen, Mal, thank you very much, mate. Really, really appreciate it. And we'll be back on Friday, as he says, over on That's Football for the second half.